we're gonna highlight those MCs who won't be returning to public life in the near future. It's a combination of harsh realities and incarcerations. From courtroom dramas to life in the clink, we'll unpack each story rapper by rapper. Stay with us as we examine the other side of fame, where careers pause and imprisonment begins. Let's get into it. Let's talk about Casanova, real name Caswell Sr. This Brooklyn rapper's story reads like a crime novel, for real. In December 2020, federal agents intervened and arrested him. Guess what? It was a part of this massive indictment against the untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation. They're saying this gang is deep in some bad stuff. Murder, shootings, robberies, and even assaults against their rivals and ex-members. But it gets deeper. In May 2021, Casanova pleads guilty to racketeering and illegal substance charges, admitting he's been in the thick of this gang's biz. We're talking about him shooting a dude over a gambling dispute at a party in Florida, a robbery in New York City, and even pushing more than 100 kilograms of marijuana. He's facing a minimum of 5 years in prison and could be staring down the barrel of a 60-year sentence. Manhattan's U.S. Attorney Damian Williams didn't mince words. He called out Casanova as a leader in Gorilla Stone, actively participating in their violent acts.
Hell, look, you don't want to come here, I'm telling you. You don't want to come here, trust me. Double bunk, toilet bowl, it's different. Oh, stay tuned.
Miller got hit with a second-degree murder charge for shooting a 16-year-old fan at a New Orleans nightclub. The trial was highly unpredictable. Initially, the jury came back with a 10-2 guilty verdict, but there was some drama about the validity of one juror's vote. They went back in, deliberated some more, and then bam! Guilty verdict again. The judge wasn't having any of the defense's mistrial motion. Before all of this, Melly was trying to shake off the image, even changing his rap name from CMurder to C. Miller. But the law caught up and he got a life sentence. However, this wasn't the only encounter with the law. He also pleaded no contest to second-degree attempted murder charges for pulling a gun on a bouncer in 2001. Talk about a life straight out of a rap lyric sheet.
Now, your name's what?
CMurder.
What'd you name yourself CMurder for?
You know me, I grew up in the Project Calliope.
You done seen a lot of it.
I done seen a lot of it. So, you know, I just...
It makes me so sick.
Yeah.
How old were you when you saw your first murder?
Probably about 10.
Back in July 2019, the court slammed him with a 55-year sentence for murder. But that ain't all. TK also got hit with 30 years for one count of aggravated robbery and another 13 years for 2 more counts of aggravated robbery, all related to some wild home invasions. These sentences are running concurrently, and they come with a hefty $23,000 fine. Now, check this. TK was just 16 when he got involved in this home invasion in Mansfield, Texas back in 2016. The outcome? Tragic. Ethan Walker lost his life and Zachary Belote was injured. But what really caught the courtroom's eye was TK's hit single, The Race, where he raps about dodging the US Marshals after the crime. That track and its video became a crucial piece of evidence in court. And it gets grimmer. TK still has a capital murder charge hanging over him for another case where he's accused of robbing and shooting a photographer in April 2017. The prosecutor Bill Vassar called TK the most violent teenager he's ever encountered. It's a story that's as shocking as it's sad, showing how life can take a turn for the worse real quick.
They need to get off the phone.
Why?
So you can call me.
This Florida rapper's story is one of those where life imitates art in the darkest way. In 2019, Melly got hit with 2 counts of first-degree murder. The charges? They're tied to the deaths of his own friends, YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Juvie. Melly was only 19 when he turned himself into the police in Miramar, Florida. But here's where it gets chilling. Melly is accused of premeditated murder. The story goes that he and another guy, Henry, were involved in the slayings of Christopher YNW Juvie Thomas and Anthony YNW Sack Chaser Williams. The stakes in this case are sky high. If convicted, Melly could be looking at the death penalty. It's a stark reminder how quickly things can spiral out of control and the grim consequences that follow. Now Now here's the situation with young Thug, also known as Jeffrey Lamar Williams. Back in May 2022, the Atlanta police put the cuffs on him, and it was for serious offenses, not minor ones. They hit him with charges including playing a part in criminal street gang activity. This dude, who's known for slaying the charts with bangers like So Much Fun and Punk, even bagging a Grammy nod for The London, found himself in some serious heat. The word is, according to the New York Times, is that this grand jury indictment wasn't just playing. They pegged him and 27 others as members of the same street gang. The charges? They're discussing serious crimes such as murder, attempted armed robbery, like straight out of a crime drama, huh? Young Thug's YSL trial in Atlanta's heating up in its second week. A juror got hospitalized, so they swapped her out. Meanwhile, Thug's rocking a wolf sweater in court and the DA splitting lines from the second Jungle Book, calling him the Wolfpack leader. Cops testified about arresting Thug's crew, dropping charges on drugs and guns. Thug's fighting big charges like running a gang under his label YSL. The jury's mixed. They gotta decide if Thug walks free or not. It's a long trial and everyone's watching Thug's every move.
Today's hearing comes more than a year after he was first arrested in that RICO case that accuses him of leading a street gang that's tied to his record label YSL. Jury selection for the case.
Yo, let's talk about Suge Knight, that notorious co-founder of Death Row Records. Back in October 2018, a judge handed him a hefty 28-year sentence for voluntary manslaughter. Imagine it, Knight was chilling on the set of Straight Outta Compton back in 2015, and he rolls up to Tam's Burgers in Compton in his red pickup. Surveillance footage caught this wild scene where Claiborne Sloan, a consultant on the biopic, steps up to Knight's truck, and they start jawing about some beef Knight had with the film. And suddenly, Knight slams his truck into reverse, knocking Sloan to the ground. He then guns it forward, plowing over Sloan and hitting businessman Terry Carter, who later died from his injuries. Knight said he was acting in self-defense, but Carter's family was devastated, talking about how their lives had changed forever since that day in January 2015. Knight, who was already locked up since the incident, faced charges of murder, attempted murder, and hit and run. But in a twist, he took a plea deal for voluntary manslaughter, ducking a potential life sentence. Remember, this is the same Suge Knight who was with Tupac when he got shot in '96. Fall from grace from one of hip-hop's most infamous figures. Real name Travell Coleman did something wild. He walked straight into the 25th precinct and confessed to a cold case murder from '93. Dude tried to confess twice before, but they thought he was high and he didn't take him seriously. The story goes in '93, G-Dep ambushed and shot John Henkel in an attempted robbery. Shot him in the chest with a .40 caliber, right outside the James Weldon Johnson houses in New York City. After doing the deed, he ditched the gun in the East River and bounced. In the twist, Coleman said he didn't know if his victim had died. Fast forward to his confession in 2010 and it was a match with the unsolved case. Coleman was like, he had to confess because the guilt was eating him up and he needed to square things with God. Even Sean Combs aka P. Diddy chimed in, saying Coleman did the right things with that confession. But here's the deal, when he got to court, Coleman pled not guilty to second-degree murder. Didn't matter though, because in 2012, he got hit with a 15 to life sentence and got sent to the Fishkill Correctional Facility in Beacon, New York. Dude's up for parole in 2025. Now this story's a trip. In 2016, Greo got nabbed by the cops in Texas. They stopped him on the highway and found 4 pounds of meth and 2 stolen pistols in his ride. He was potentially facing a 300-year sentence for possession of a controlled substance and having firearms as a felon. But he cut a deal and got 20 years instead. He didn't start serving time right away though. Greo was on Instagram saying he wasn't in a rush to get locked up, planning to go on tour and stack some cash for his kids first. He was all about living it up before going in. He hit up Twitter telling fans he was sorry for letting them down and promising there'd be plenty of music dropping while he was inside. Greo was all about making the most of his time, even though he was heading to the pen. And yeah, he did drop music while locked up. Talk about keeping the hustle alive. Now on to Max B, the Harlem rapper, who got his sentence slashed big time. So back in 2009, Max B, that's Charlie Wingate for the official types, got slammed with a heavy 75 years behind bars. We talking conspiracy charges linked to some real heavy stuff. Armed robbery, kidnapping, aggravated assault, and even felony murder. That's like your whole life, man. But here's where the script flips. In 2016, Max B plays it smart and cops a plea for an aggravated manslaughter. That move chops his time down to 20 years. His manager Ty Black, who's tight with Mac, spills that the sentence got cut because of some ineffective assistance of counsel. Basically, Mac's legal team back then didn't cut it, so the court's like, alright, let's trim that sentence. Still, no exact date on when Max is gonna be free. But there's talk it might be soon. Max ain't just sitting quiet either. He's keeping it real on Instagram, even from the pen, posting in his prison blues. Max lays it out. They gave me 75, got it chopped to a 20, and then got it down to a dozen. And check this, French Montana, another big name in the game, was working to free Max with some help from Kim Kardashian, though it is unclear if she played a role in the legal game. It's still dope to see folks rallying for Max though. Man, it's crazy how life flips, huh?
I don't fuck with Dipset. Freaky, whatever the fuck his name is. Max in the bells, baby. Max B, that's the only one we fuck with.
If you find these stories interesting, please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more truth behind the scenes. Now, question for y'all, whose story hit you the hardest? Drop a comment, let's chat.